we got answers that we hadn't expected.
Talk about the virtual debate. You were very involved.
Yeah,
in
the virtual debate was something that we did last fall for New Jersey's Senate campaign, and we decided pretty early on to do something a little different to really force the candidates to focus on the issues, which, as you know, in past elections, they've degenerated into a series of personal attacks, negative campaigning. So we ran it on our website, similar to an actual debate, where the candidates had an opportunity to make an opening statement, where it was similar to an op-ed piece, a 1,000-word essay. And then we started on 4th of July, and every other week we posed a different question to the candidates. They responded. They had the opportunity to rebut each other. It was interactive. People who went to our website had the opportunity to suggest questions and topics. And we were very pleased with the way it worked, because we think we did get them to talk about the issues, which was something that people did not get if they were reading the newspapers or watching the television coverage.
How many hits did you get?
We had about 9,000 people participated in it, and as the election got closer, we tracked it week by week, and it really grew in the last 2 or 3 weeks right before the election. So it's kind of building on that we decided to look at what can we do with the presidential race. We couldn't take the virtual debate and just transpose it to the presidential race. So we came up with this idea of these different forums, which we think will work. As Michael said, will identify the issues and concerns of people from New Jersey and get them to the campaigns. I think the virtual debate also was something that the candidates or the campaigns were looking for. I mean, a lot of people say candidates these days don't want to talk about the issues, but they were very receptive to what we were doing, and hopefully the national candidates will be just as receptive.
Yeah, I think the issues are hugely important, clearly, and when wonks like us get to it, and wonks like the candidates and their staff certainly want it. At least they claim that they want to get issue related. All of that is hugely important, and all of that can't be minimized. That said, I think a big part of the problem here is that New Jersey has been marginalized by Washington for quite some time. I think Republican administrations look at it as a democratic state that is not going to waver. As a result, we lag behind in funding from them. I also think then with Democratic administrations, they took a look at us and know that they'll always have us in our back pocket and tend to take us for granted. They know we're a cash cow, as Michael said before, continue to donate, continue to support. But I still think that we run that risk of saying, unless we start making more of a difference, if we matter as a state, then we have to stand up and try to get some of that federal money, especially in New Jersey, where, frankly, I think people trying to pay their way in New Jersey is the greatest issue. Not to minimize all the other issues, but I think if we don't find a way to keep our residents here, and they seem to be leaving in greater numbers every year, if we don't find a way to keep them here, that's where we have a real problem with the federal government.
I want to get back to that in a moment, but following up on that, what's the goal? You sort of intimated what the goal is of your coverage. I want to be a little more specific. Is it your readership? Is it people in office? Is it movers and shakers? Is it all those people?
The short answer is yes. And I think the real answer is that we can talk all we want about activism and what's going on with all these issues today. The fact of the matter is that in a state where all we talk about is education, and how education, school board elections, the voter turnout is about 11%, 11 to 14%. So for all these things that matter allegedly so much in our grassroots level, for something that takes on a more grandiose notion of the presidential election, I think we have to try to bring these issues home, and we have to let people know exactly what is not coming our way. And when we rank 47th or 48th in federal spending, we have a real problem.
In a lot of presidential elections and gubernatorial elections, you might get a sense, I guess, from polling about what the people want. When McGreevey ran a number of years ago, it was insurance. What about what people need?
I think it's pocketbook issues. It's the war obviously is the overriding issue, but I think for New Jerseyans, it's the economy. It's keeping them in the state, as David said. What really affects New Jerseyans is those folks who sit down at the dining room table, try to figure out how to make ends meet each week. So I think what resonates with them are taxes, the economy, even healthcare and education as they impact their ability to pay.
I think also it's going to be an election in which the issues are going to be refracted to the notion of how candidates handle themselves, especially over a long period of time. How do you handle when these issues come forward? Is some candidate going to come up with a brilliant solution to the particular problem that people have been wrestling with, whatever the issue is? I don't think that's going to happen. I think what will happen is that we will get a chance to watch how they think in a variety of settings over a long period of time. We are looking at their judgment, their wisdom, what the Romans used to call gravitas. Are they up to the job? And I think that's what public policy is also important. It isn't the quest for the golden solution. It's the question of how are these people, do they exercise the type of judgment that you say, I feel comfortable with that person sitting in the White House?
In an age of television and an incredible amount of television advertising, is it easy for the public to evaluate gravitas?
I think so. I think that it certainly can get a feel for the person's personality. What exactly he or she is going to be like under tremendous stress, you'll never know. But I think that we saw candidates self-destruct. We saw Muskie when that happened with him. We saw it with Dukakis when he couldn't figure out what to do. Somebody came in and raped his wife, and he sat in front of the American people and said that. We saw that with John Dean, who for some reason showed us that he had something missing. I think that that really is an important issue, because the bottom line really is what do you know, and how well effectively can you use it? And if we probably should be looking at those issues as they deal with the questions.
I agree with you theoretically, but I disagree that we get a better feel for who these people are. I don't think we understand who these people are because they're so controlled in their media messages and their media opportunities, and trot the kids out at the right time and trot the wife out at the right time, and here she is baking, or here she is reading a book to kids. I think we get these very sculpted messages, right down to the 1984 message that was, that a guy from the agency that dealt with Barack Obama's agency has copped to. So I think that we don't get to know who any of these people are because they don't want us to know who they are.
Too much packaging?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and listen, packaging has been going on for generations. We certainly know that. But I think with so many availabilities, you now get to craft craft the image for the MTV crowd, then you get to craft it for the CNN crowd, then you get to craft it for the IMAS crowd, and you do it that way, and I think that we lose a whole lot less of who these people really are.
In the 2000 campaign for President Gore Bush, did we know who Bush was?
I think we had a pretty good idea who he was, but maybe just picking up on what David said, I think we have the ability to find out more about the candidates, more so than we ever had in history. But I think your average American, your average New Jerseyan is just going to see the prepackaged stuff, so that maybe it's incumbent on the public to get more involved, to do some more research, to maybe watch some of the talk shows that we watch and get behind the scenes. Which whether or not it's going to happen, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think that is going to happen because they have a couple of jobs trying to make ends meet. They're trying to help their kids do their homework. They're trying to do what they have to do in their own lives. And frankly, I think when it comes down to it, they're not terribly interested. It's a sad thing to say, but I do think that if people saw who candidates really are, they might get more interested.
But in a sense, doesn't the longer campaign, again, let's say the result of the primaries is we know who's going to be running in March, say. In a sense, doesn't that longer campaign give us more of an opportunity to get to know the candidates?